Welcome back to the House of Wellness. Now, how are you going, Joe?
I'm doing okay.
Good. It's good to hear, because it's fair to say we've got something in common, and that's genuinely try and be the best we can be as a team, but occasionally we'll have a stumble.
Well, of course we do, and I think that the problem with that is that we are framing stumbles in terms of failure, and life is busy, and really sometimes I see it as disconnecting with the messages that our body and our souls are telling us, and we kind of forget. For myself, that's when I reach for sugar too much, and I'm not hearing my body saying, hey, back that off a bit, or I don't make time to meditate enough, and that really results in me not feeling great. But let's not think of it as stumbling. It's just a reminder to connect again.
And we do put so much pressure on ourselves. I've told you guys about my story about being way too strict on my diet and my exercise, where I lost my menstrual cycle for over 2 years, which was quite a long time. So I think we just got to learn to get back in tune with our body. And for all the bad press that we're hearing about, you know, obesity and illness, we are doing something right, because we have one of the world's highest life expectancies in the world, which is incredible. We've got a 68% chance of living to 80, and a generation ago that was just 29%.
How good is that? But I got to say, I think about ageing and what I might look like when I'm older. I got to show you this, guys. What do you reckon of me in about 60 years? So that's me, looking pretty good. I mean, I hope I age a little bit better than that. This is one of those Snapchat filters that you can do. But maybe I shouldn't look at it for too long, because I might freak myself out and end up coming back next week and not looking like myself after having done a bit of work. What do you reckon?
I think you're always going to look handsome. Really, Luke.
That looks like a horror show, mate. Seriously,
And that's why you don't have Instagram or
correct.
Snapchat.
There's no good can come from that. Hey, let the ageing process go, Heinz. Let's take a look at food, or more importantly, about giving up food.
Dude, absolutely. And it is a hot topic. It's something that we always talk about here. Intermittent fasting. Now, originally it was seen as a bit of a fad diet, but the science and statistics related to it are growing every year, along with the number of people who are actually giving it a go. Now, I'll tell you what, crew, I absolutely love it. I live and breathe it. I would do a book shoot where all day I'm like eating 10 to 12 recipes and feeding myself. And I find introducing intermittent fasting really fantastic, because it resets all those cravings that I get, and it allows me to kind of step back and go, okay, I'm back in the driver's seat here. It's really helpful.
It's exactly the same with me. It really helps reset my body. I practice it, but not, I would imagine, not as long as you. So I stop eating at about 6 o'clock at night, and then I start eating at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it gives my body a good...
Isn't that normal?
Doesn't everybody do that? It may be normal, but it's a trend now. It's called intermittent fasting.
But the idea that your body gets a rest over that amount of time is actually quite a new idea for some people, and I think it makes sense. Just, as kids, you taught, eat regularly, eat late at night, have a snack before you go to bed, and I'm with you. I'm a big fan of giving your body a bit of a rest, Joe.
You did a pretty extreme version. You did the juicing.
It seems extreme, but 10 days, thanks to the team at the Green Street Juice Company, 10 days off. But, you know, I actually felt more energy, more clarity, gave the body a great reset. So I'm a huge fan of this space, big time.
Well, I have done the 5-2 diet fairly regularly, which I really enjoy. So you have 5 days of normal eating, calories, whatever. 2 days is limited. You don't eat nothing, but I limit the calories that I eat on that day. And again, it's a circuit breaker for me. Going, hang on, you have been eating a lot of cake. Let's just tone down the cake
a little.
So, Joe, sounds like we've all given it a go and done it in different ways by the sounds of it, which is why we're all very keen to hear what leading nutritionalist, athlete and author Steph Lowe thinks about it. Steph, welcome to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, I know you're a big fan of this intermittent fasting, or fasting in general. Tell us where you sit on the spectrum in terms of giving it a go.
Yeah, like personally, I think it really depends on the individual. You know, there are a number of people that don't actually suit fasting, and one example is breastfeeding, which is myself personally at the moment. So I'm not doing any fasting myself, but I think if we look at the health benefits, what Rach was saying is really important to personalise. So there are a number of different versions, and that will look differently for two people.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Because we touched on the 5-2, and then there's different day fasting, cyclic fasting, where you increase the amount of time, or whether you just focus on a particular day, or even up to 48 hours. Can you break some of them down for us?
It feels so complicated.
Well, we've got to remember that everyone's fasting. Like you said, it's completely normal, right? So we're already always fasting between dinner or our last meal to the first meal of the following day. So it's actually not uncommon. You know, everybody fasts to a degree, but where you sit on the spectrum largely depends on your current blood sugar control.
Yes.
So if you've got poor blood sugar control, if you're eating lots of cake or lots of refined carbohydrates, if you're snacking all the time, you won't dive into a 16-8 or a 48-hour fast, but you might simply try like 12-12, which would be a 12-hour break overnight with a 12-hour eating window in one day.
And hence the name breakfast, break the fast. Steph, can you talk more about the physiology? What exactly is fasting doing to our body?
Yeah, there's some amazing benefits of fasting. Sort of, I guess we look at short term, there's definitely that digestive ease. So what you guys were talking about with the break, it gives your digestion. So we talk about digestion being quite costly. It costs the body, it's quite an expensive process. And if we're always eating and always grazing, there can be some digestive distress. So obviously when you're not eating, you're giving yourself that break. That digestive ease is quite incredible for a lot of people.
I find it profound. I feel so much cleaner if I'm giving myself a break from constantly breaking down what generally often is toxic, what I'm perhaps eating. So how do you know which is the best one for you?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of trial and error. So you might experiment with, let's say you've worked out your normal fasting window. Is that 12 hours or rate yours is 14? Then you can simply either have an earlier dinner by an hour or a later breakfast by an hour and see how your body responds. So if extending your fast leads to binging or overeating cake or losing the plot by the end of the day, then clearly you've chosen too long a fast. So gradual is best.
Hey, Steve, I love that we're talking about this as being a fad diet and something new, and we've got experts talking about it. I caught up with Basha Houli, who's a very proud Muslim AFL player. He's just going through the month of Ramadan. He was best on ground, and he was saying, I want to extend Ramadan because I feel better, my energies. He said, we've been doing this for 1,400 years now, so it's not exactly new, is it?
It's not new at all. It's a very ancient health strategy, and there is some amazing research that shows that fasting increases endurance. So maybe that's what your friend is experiencing himself.
I certainly have felt energised sometimes by fasting, but you know, they say that you shouldn't do grocery shopping when you're hungry because you can tend to buy things that aren't right for you. How do you stop yourself from pigging out on the days when perhaps you are allowed food or just reaching for the wrong things?
Yeah, I think it comes down to food quality. So what we're eating should be the most nutrient-dense whole food, which looks like lots of plants, so our non-starchy veggies, quality proteins, healthy fats, and the right type of carbohydrate, so usually in a natural whole food form. So when we're so well nourished, our blood sugar is stable and we don't get the hangries or the overeating or the poor choices. So it's a direct result of what's on our plate.
Now, Steph, you mentioned obviously you're not fasting at the moment because you've had baby Grace.
Congrats!
Is there anyone else who should be maybe mindful about whether they should be fasting?
Absolutely. So it's really important to discover that, you know, it's not for children. Even teenagers aren't advised to fast. Pregnancy and breastfeeding. And then if we're looking at someone that might be a little bit unhealthy, taking medications, you need to do it under the guidance of your medical professional, and certainly anyone with blood sugar issues wouldn't be fasting to start.
As we said, it's a hot topic at the moment. From what Steph says, it's important to do your homework on food plans, diet plans, what works best for you before jumping in. Steph, thanks so much for your insight today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steph.
Yay.
Great to catch up with Steph. Of course, fasting isn't the same as forgetting to eat, Joe. If you want a reminder or you want to take stock of what you're eating and why, well, would you believe there's an app for that? Vanessa's in next. That's coming up on the House of Wellness.